Okay, I'm back to test the scenario I was making. So, as we have done so far, I have created Russian forces, I've created US forces, I've given them weapons, and I've set up scoring, I've given the enemy missions to do. So, now it's time to just give it a test run. Uh, Obviously, I haven't done a briefing yet. We already know basically what we're going to say. We just don't know how many assets we're going to give everyone. So I'm just going to begin the scenario. I obviously already know what's going on. First thing, actually, I'm going to move this a little bit closer. I'm thinking right there inside it, the ship's SAM bubble is probably close enough. They're probably safe there, so I'm going to make the mission. I'm just going to call it support. I mean, you could set up different missions for ELINT, AWACS, all that stuff. I'm just going to put them all in one. And I'm going to keep them outside of radar range, turn on their radars and jammers, and that's it. Obviously, I want them airborne. And I want them checking out all of this stuff here. So let's look at what we do see and we do know is there. We see the Syrian defenses because they've already been spotted. We see nothing as far as the radars. Now we know that there's an SA-23 radar and an SA-21 radar. We will detect those when we launch our strike. First thing I want to do is make sure these aircraft get airborne. There we go. So a little bit of background interference from a very powerful jammer. I mean, it may be powerful, but it's going to be using this offensive ECM at a very long range. So I'm not sure what impact, if any, that's actually going to have on an SA-21, which is a very powerful modern radar. I mean, I have no doubt it could do tremendous amounts of interference up close, but this is really far away from the coastline. And then, of course, we have our AWACS, which really is there so that I don't need to emit. And the rivet joint, which I'm honestly not sure if I'm going to need it. So its biggest thing is electronic intelligence, 500 nautical miles, but I believe that the AWACS and the compass call have that ability as well. And the difference is that the early 2000s technology out of the E3 JID, where the rivet joint, it's early 1980s tech, so I'm actually expecting the rivet joint won't be as useful. And there's the compass call. ELINT is also 1980s technology, but I've really only taken that because of the jammer. Now, I think if I did this side as the US Navy, I would actually have more options because I would be less hesitant to take an EA-18, say, this far away from an SA-21. So the Navy actually might be better suited for this seed mission, to be honest. So then, of course, for our aircraft, we have 8 F-35s configured for a seed loadout, 8 small diameter bombs. The Lightnings are the 2019 variant in game that can use the small diameter bomb. Basically, without the small diameter bombs, I couldn't really do very much other than maybe firing some JASMs, but 2 JASMs per, that's just, that wouldn't be taking advantage of stealth aircraft. And then I have these BLU 109s, which are penetrator munitions. They are designed to punch through the bunker. Now, I didn't make this scenario very target rich. It's basically, it's more of us versus their air defenses, more than anything. How long is it going to take these guys to get on the station? About an hour. So, I have 158 Tomahawks on this service group. Now, my original thoughts was I wanted to give less, but if we fired 122 at Syrian targets, we would totally fire more than that at Russian targets. So 158 is probably a small amount when you consider. In real life, we would probably fire way more than that. Oh, I suppose I could start getting it forces airborne. Once I get the F-35s up, they'll start detecting. So I'm going to go over my strategy right now. My first theory is that if I just started taking off and heading straight towards here, between the aircraft patrolling or even the SA-21 battery, or the radar, I mean, I will be detected and shot at, especially if I'm flying high, well before I can actually get to 60 nautical miles to drop my bombs. However, I don't believe that the SA-21 is going to be able to engage the Tomahawks trailed by the F-35s. And I'm thinking I might even use my jammers on the F-35. So if we look at the F-35, we will notice it's got a very powerful radar, but it also has a very powerful offensive ECM system built into the APG-81 radar. So we might even use that. And then when we're flying towards the target, we're going to be using our state-of-the-art electronic intelligence and our infrared tracking to guide the Tomahawks in. So the Tomahawks are going to fire at very boxes that are going to be fairly ambiguous. Is that even a word? Very large target ambiguity, but I'm going to then find the targets mid-flight and take advantage of the fact that Tomahawks have a data link to guide them in. So I have no doubt that several Tomahawks are going to get shot down, and that's fine. The Tomahawks are there to do a very specific mission, which is to ensure that they are being shot at instead of my aircraft. I think that if hundreds of Tomahawks are closing in on a target, they can't not engage the Tomahawks. They just can't. So we're going to see what we can find, and we're going to engage them. We're going to see what we can find when our jammer aircraft get to here. And when they do, we're going to see what we can target and destroy. Then what I want to do is send out my aircraft, which will then home in on those targets and allow the Tomahawks to adjust their course. Once the Tomahawks adjust their course and crash into those targets, my aircraft can then start looking for and engaging targets that are further away that I did not see or that aren't emitting. Hopefully I can be able to find them. Now if I'm just waiting for these aircraft to get up higher, it looks like, I would think that this rivet joint's starting to get to the point where it would be able to see everything over the horizon with its ELINT stuff. Not positive though. So I'm just going to speed it up just a little bit for now. I'm going to slow it down the second I pick up any contacts. Oh, there we go. So that is their AWACS aircraft. The Russians are patrolling. I wanted to go over one thing that I just want to establish would be a viable tactic, but I don't intend to give the player enough time to do it. The SA-21 located here can shoot pretty much all of this. That being said, I don't want the player to just drop bombs, say, on Damascus and goad the SA-21 into just taking them out. But at the same time, I don't want to limit the range of the SA-21 because it can actually shoot things all the way out here. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to make a time constraint. So if the player wants to expend SA-21 munitions by firing at this battery right here, they're free to do it. But then they're not going to have those aircraft ready to do sortie after sortie somewhere else. Because this game only gives the SA-21s the launchers enough for one reload. So they're a deterrent and they've got plenty loaded to just obliterate aircraft that they catch out in the open high up, but they don't have enough to shoot down missiles the amount that some people think they do. And we're going to demonstrate that, or at least I think we will. Alright, so let's speed it up just a little bit more in a second. Blackbird, red cock, and green pawn. Bogies. Those are probably fighters. Alright, we're going to speed it up again. And a little bit more. I don't care about that SA-6. An SA-22, which we already know we put in over there. And now we're starting to pick up some radars. Billboard. This is an SA-23 radar. That's a Russian target that we will need to take out. SA-22 and another SA-22 providing point defense. They will shoot down missiles if they are given the opportunity. We don't want that. Then, of course, we have Al-Assad, or Basel Al-Assad Latakia International Airport, which we know has a bunch of a bunch of space there. Now, I don't really want to try to get a fighter squadron close enough to actually do a recon and see what is where on there. So we're going to have to come up with another way of taking out aircraft, potentially. Then again, the camera is very good on the F-35, so it might be able to detect things from very far away. Alright, so let's get a little closer and see what we can come up with here. SA-22, SA-22. Big Bird radar, that's what we are concerned about. This is the 325 nautical mile, long-range, modern radar that will guide in all these scary SA-21s. So now that we've detected that, we can plan our strike accordingly. So if I were to launch Tomahawks, what would I be launching on here? So the Russian HQ, Tomahawks aren't effective at dealing with those. I could hit the runways. That would be wise if I feared the Russian aircraft. There are about 16 fighters armed with SAMs that are going to start shooting down Tomahawks, but they're going to shoot down these Tomahawks probably before I can do a damn thing about it, so I'm not sure that's really going to help. Got these two SA-22s. We could crash some Tomahawks into them. They are less. I would say that these are lower priority targets than these radars. But if we crash missiles into these, it's going to force the SA-21 to engage them, which our goal is basically just to force them to engage those instead of waiting for fighters. I mean, if you see 100 Tomahawks coming towards you, you can't not engage them. All right. So as the Tomahawks are coming in, I want them all to follow the same path in, all 158 of them. And I want my fighters to then go out and over. But I don't want them to get into range until the Tomahawks are ready to obliterate everything. But I am going to do an alpha strike and launch everything. So I've determined that this scenario is just focused on this one squadron's attack. So it will only be focused on that, not defense. I just don't want to add additional units in or force the player to use them. The only air-to-air I'm going to see is taking on Russian defenders, not going to do a counterattack. There's a time and a place for that sort of thing, and I'm definitely going to do that sort of thing in another scenario. I'm just trying to make the scenario simple. When I do give it like a rating in terms of difficulty and complexity, it'll probably be 1 star for simplicity. And difficulty, we'll see. I don't think it'll be terribly difficult, especially if I leave the amount of Tomahawks as it is. But I could be mistaken. Now, I really don't want these getting any closer than that until the missiles are out. They just make much more attractive targets. Now the jammer gets to here, and then I would hope that at least the Syrian radars are jammed. It would be nice to not have help engaging these missiles. So now I'm going to come up with 2 groups of 4 strike aircraft, and then 1 group of 4 JDAM aircraft. The JDAM aircraft are not to engage until all of the missiles impact and the small diameter bombs impact. So group 1 with these small diameter bombs are going to engage runway targets of opportunity. The other group are going to engage SA-21s and other dangerous SAMs. Now, for me, it's hard to determine how many Tomahawks I want to fire at the beginning part of the scenario. I mean, if I fire all of them, then I don't have targets I don't have any missiles left to engage a target of opportunity. If, say, I find an SA-21, but at the same time, if I don't fire enough, then my aircraft are going to get demolished. So I'd say I'm probably going to fire about 120 of them and leave 30 as a just in case. Alright, so let's get out our JDAM aircraft. And I'm going to take them out. Alright, so if we're firing our missiles off, a significant amount of them, what targets do we want to hit? We'll leave the Russian HQ to the JDAMs. Really, I know the JDAM is a tough weapon to getting close to hit with when you're dealing with these air defenses, but that's also the point, and that's why I gave the player those. That's why I chose to give JDAMs and not JSOWs. I want to at least provide the player. I need to make the player choose some sort of alternative means to engage. So I'd say the least important targets that I engage are these. I mean, they are going to shoot down missiles, but I don't know how many Tomahawks I really want to waste on them. So I'd say 20 on each. And then 30 on these radars. That will leave some Tomahawks left over. So that leaves 29 per. I think that'll be enough. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is set the Berg 1 and the Big Bird radar. And they're going to go straight in. And straight in. Straight in. Straight in. That leaves a lot of Tomahawks that I could still engage. I'm thinking I don't need to keep 29 on each ship. That's fine. I'm going to probably figure something out with hitting the runways or something. Well, you know what? I'll just do it this way. We're going to just see how it goes. Now, I think it would be suicidal to get this guy closer, but I think it'd almost be worth the risk at the same time. I don't know. It's hard to say. No, I think I'll leave the jamming aircraft out there. That is a lot of Tomahawks that the enemy is going to want to intercept. However, it's an hour and 20 minutes into the scenario, so I am not convinced that the enemy is going to be able to ready enough aircraft. They don't have enough time. Now, maybe one of the things I could have done to make it more difficult to do is change the ready times on aircraft, but since we're doing an alpha strike, we would just wait for all the aircraft to be ready. Because we've got only aircraft on maintenance left behind. Alright, so it's time to start pushing towards So I'm just going to set up the JDAM aircraft right now to drop their JDAMs on that bunker. So the reason I didn't choose mauled is because if I were to have chosen mauled, I do believe the Russians would see them as a huge threat to their ability to see with their jamming, but they still might not target them. Where, again, it's a Tomahawk coming at them. They have no choice but to shoot at that. Now, the F-35's jammers, once I see missiles engaged at these Tomahawks, I am going to turn on the jammers. It's risky, but this whole operation is risky. And probably going to lead to nuclear war, so it doesn't matter. Why are they... So already we've seen a mobile device here with the ground radar. I don't know how accurate that's modeled, but that's impressive that these aircraft would be able to see it. I wonder if they drop the JDAMs from 50,000 feet further out than they do at 36,000 feet. Their maximum altitude is what? Oh, what spot? Oh. Their average rate of climb is decent. Max altitude 45,000 feet. I'm pretty sure they can go higher, but I'm sure there's their reason for it being modeled that way. Not that it would really make a huge difference if they go. Alright, so we see these missiles coming in. Given our distance, I'm going to assume that all of these are going to be at these Tomahawks. So I think we can turn jammers on. Now, one of the upgrades to the F-35 that I think is in the game is the 2024 model or something, is 6 AM RAM internally. Now that's going to be huge. But these only have 8 per, so that might be limited. So I have every reason to believe that once they're done with this salvo, that's going to be all their missiles from this SA-21. They're going to have to try reloading it. We're hopefully not going to be able to we're not going to let them do that. Let's see what we see at this airbase. Yeah, like, aircraft are probably spread out. I'm not going to be able to just kill them all from Tomahawk shots, because I'd have to fire several Tomahawks per target, and it's probably not worth it. Okay, one aircraft. These guys need to fire again. I don't want these aircraft shooting down missiles. They probably have several gunshots as well. More missiles coming out? So any mobiles we detect, even if we can't identify them, we're taking them out. Got their flankers up now. So those flankers we want to take out. They are the Su-35 flanker, I mean. The difference is that they have active radar homing missiles versus semi-active. So instead of being able to fire one at a time and maintaining a lock, they can fire all of their missiles off on these. So they're probably going to start shooting down a ton of these cruise missiles, and before we can actually do anything about it. So these guys, I'm going to have them afterburner out of there. They are close, and they can't contribute anything else anymore without AMRAMs. I mean, I suppose they could always use guns, but I don't want to suicide an aircraft that valuable. Yeah, it's a lot of flankers. Oh. Alright, so these guys have fired their fast missiles. I want them out too. Now, of course, our two groups of F-35As do have a fair amount of AMRAAMs between them, so I don't think they're in danger just yet from those fighters. The SAMs, however, they're rather close to them. So we know these mobiles are probably SAMs, so we're just going to engage any mobile we see, whether we identify it or not. And we have detected what? SA-23, SA-23. We haven't detected an SA-21 yet. Alright, max altitude and afterburner. I want them getting closer. And they're going to drop on the SA-23s. Or do I want them to drop on the airbase? Let's see. I mean, I could go after these fighters, but that's... I don't know where most of their fighters are, so I'm going to say no. Say SA-23 is... in this Big Bird radar. These three targets, I know exactly where they are. What did it fire at? I didn't tell them to engage anything yet. What's going on? Where are they firing at? Stop firing. Stop. Okay, Control A. Don't recall giving them an order to fire, but we are going to fire all of their missiles, one at each target. Still don't see the SA-21, but since we don't see much in the airfield, we're going to dedicate the rest of our missiles here to the SA-21. We're going to make sure that these guys, yep, they dropped all targets. These SAMs are actually being shot at our aircraft. Oof, that's dangerous. Here we go. And we spotted that. And we're going to start attacking targets on the ground with the other two. Oh. Oh, that's the runway, my bad. We'll target the AWACS. And stealth fighters are able to defeat these SA-21s relatively easily, it would seem. And bombs away, maybe. Well, if you want something to engage, attack the unknown SAM. Attack the known SAM. And attack the other known SAM. And now the last group, this is going to be dangerous, but let's just get it over with. And let's do it in Afterburner. The reason I say that is so I want them to impact around the same time these missiles are. Or these glide bombs, I mean. Less to shoot at. Or more to shoot at, I mean. Yeah, you know what I mean. Alright, now I want them out at full afterburner and minimum altitude. Go, go, go. And now that we've got these forces out of here, let's use those remaining Tomahawks because we have them. So 29 per, got these 4 SAMs, and we've got the Russian HQ. So 29, so if I did 10, 10, 9, that's what I think I'm going to do. 10, 10, 9, straight course in, straight course in. Straight course in. Then we're going to do 10, 10, 9. Wouldn't surprise me if the bunker blows up before these all reach it anyway. In the event that that happens, I will be happy to redirect the Tomahawks. Not sure why it didn't fire 3 of them. What is our score now? 370. So we killed the SA-21. We didn't kill the bunker yet. Killed the SA-21 radar. We killed the SA-23 radar. The SA-23 batteries are about to die. Although I can't help but feel in real life they probably would run away at this point. That is probably a good reason to use Lua, to be honest. Time to slow it down. In the event that a target is destroyed, I can always send my missiles to another target. Although I think if I do select... Oh, I can. Yes, that's right. So, for example, if I wanted to redirect this missile, I could just hit F1 and crash it into another target. That is one tough bunker, geez. Okay, so I have reason to believe that target will probably be dead after that, so what I can do is redirect these Tomahawks. I would imagine that if U.S. forces were doing this, they could decide to... They would probably have alternate targets and people standing by to redirect Tomahawks in the event they noticed their target was no longer needed to be destroyed. Assuming they have enough people per ship, which I don't know if they would, but it's a capability we have, so we're going to use it. And of course, the Tomahawks being this close see most of the aircraft. So these, I think this Tomahawk will probably be enough to finish that off. So let's see what happens. I mean, I guess we could redirect these as well. Let's just, I think we've got a Tomahawk for everything here. Let's just take these and crash them into something else. Got 2 ammo shelters, that'll do. Right, they are targeted. Let's do this. Ooh, there's a target that didn't get hit. Come on. Turn around. Hit it. And it should be dead. Alright, so time-wise for this scenario, it should be done in 3 hours. Safe to assume it should be. Scoring, 760. Log expenditures. Losses. They lost ammo shelters for Syria. We weren't really targeting them. Just the airbase counts as their forces. Expenditures, they fired a bunch of SAM. Probably didn't do a whole hell of a lot. Losses for Russians. Tons of flankers. The radars. The A-50. I didn't remember shooting their A-50 out of the sky. I remember killing the one on the ground. The Gladiators, the Giants, those are the SA-23s, all of the SA-21 tells, and the bunker. Alright. So, this scenario hasn't really been innovative, but it does at least demonstrate that you can do the seed mission and bait out SAMs to be fired where they can't ignore it. I wouldn't say that it was done perfectly. I mean, I used the radars separate from the SAMs in order to what's the word? In order to force the SAMs to be almost invisible, but what it does lack is the ability for the SAMs to move out of the way or get away of incoming missiles, or not incoming missiles like dodge them, but dodge them as in not be where they once were, so they're not acquired. If that makes sense. So maybe if someone out there wants to do more than I'm doing, use Lua. You can definitely do a lot with that. Alright, well, thanks for watching this. I will probably finalize the scenario in another episode and maybe make some changes. Probably just leave it alone as is. I'll let everyone play it once I publish it to Steam, but again, this isn't going to be the best scenario ever created. I just wanted to go over everything and do it all in front of somebody so that anybody who's new to command can enjoy the mission editor the same way that I do. Alright, thanks for watching and have a good day. If you like this content, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't like it, feel free to give me a dislike and tell me why. Alright, bye-bye.